Dude, okay. They tease. Welcome to the Dave Cave. Today we have our first official trailer for the next crack at a live action Resident Evil movie, and that is Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. We'll just see. I just want to get into it. I don't want to. We'll do all the speculation after. Here we go. I've been waiting all day. Let's get these on. Get this locked in. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Come on.
That was a cool little shot. All right.
Every story has a beginning. Discover the origin
Claire.
of evil.
Nice.
Why are you back here, Claire? Your conspiracies weren't true when we were kids. They're not true now.
We need
Chris,
to expose
Leon.
Umbrella.
I mean, it's hitting some good beats.
I'm afraid, Claire. I'm afraid of what they're gonna do to this town. You see, Umbrella, they had an incident. I'm talking Chernobyl, if you know what I mean. People are getting sick.
Everything looks good so far. RPD.
Help us, Claire. Let the world know what's really going on.
That garage.
We have to contain this.
Shall we go?
Leon. Yeah, West. It.
What were Umbrella doing here?
This is where they're experimenting on him.
I mean,
We should split up.
this seems pretty damn solid. You got the mansion. Dude. Okay. They tease. They're leaning so heavy into the games and all the visuals of that, and they need to. That looks a little very CG.
We're gonna take Umbrella down.
Dude. I mean, dude, like, I'm kind of speechless, not because it looks spectacular, but you can tell that they are leaning heavily into the aesthetics of the game, which is what you want. I mean, that was probably one of the biggest problems, if not the biggest problem, with the Resident Evil series before the movies, that they had really nothing to do with the Resident Evil franchise. You had Alice, she wasn't part of it, but then you brought in Jill, you had Carlos, eventually they brought in Leon, which we're going to talk about that for a second. Everybody was butthurt when we saw Leon, right? When we first got our first look at Leon, I think he looks perfectly fine in this one. It doesn't matter that he doesn't look exactly like Leon. You see the guy and you go, boom, that's Leon Kennedy. We're in the Resident Evil universe. Makes perfect sense. Right? If the guy can play the character, who cares? Who cares? I don't care, and you shouldn't. As long as someone plays the role fine, we don't need him to look exactly the same, because the last time they did Leon and he looked kind of exactly the same, how shit was that movie? And while we're on the topic of looks, I think Wesker looks great. I think Claire looks great. I think Robbie Amell as Chris Redfield is going to be awesome. I actually really like Robbie Amell and stuff that I've seen him in so far, so that's a bonus. There's not anybody in this movie that where I've gone, they're in this, man, I really wish they would have gotten someone else. No, all the faces I know in this movie, they look like pluses to me. I did. And yes, the liquor is going to look CG. The rabid dogs, that does look a little too CG. Maybe they'll tighten it up. They still have a month and a half, almost 2 months left to tighten it up, and they've done crazier things with movies. We'll see. Yes, they should be showing a final product, but maybe this isn't. What I am curious about is how much the two groups are going to interplay. Are you going to get Chris and his group in the mansion? Are you going to get Leon and Claire over in the RPD? How much are they going to commingle and interweave through the story? Are we going to get two separate stories that kind of go back and forth? I kind of hope they do separate. I think it's very interesting that they're trying to mix 1 and 2. I hope it's not too much. I hope they do both sides of the story justice, because they're both really good sides of the story. But at the end of the day, I am looking forward to this. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be much heavier, much more horror based than the last ones were. I know that right now Resident Evil has this like in terms of live action, but I think this might do it. And especially if this is good or good enough, they can do more for the next one. And I'm not saying do more in terms of like making more grandiose, but do better. Tighten up everything. Like with Venom, the CG on that wasn't that great. The CG in Let There Be Carnage was amazing. So if they can do that with this, I'm excited for this Resident Evil, but also for the future. And speaking of the future, I just did a video because we got Halloween coming and they're already talking years into the future with that franchise. I put my thoughts on that. Go check out that video. I'm going to get out of here. I will see you in the next one. But until then, take care.